Good morning. This is Mix Matters on 101.9 The Mix. I'm Susan Winsek. Concealed carry is now legal in Illinois. As law enforcement and gun owners make the transition, two experts in gun safety, who are suburban police officers, discuss what it means for all of us and what we should tell our kids. Welcome to our show. More than a third of U.S. households have guns. Now that concealed carry is legal in Illinois, more people will be taking those guns out of the house. And we wanted to take some time to talk about what that means for all of us and what we should be telling our kids. Our guests today are experts in the field of gun safety and education. They are Valerie Davis and Raimond Pavely of Precision Firearms Education and Training in the Chicago area. Valerie, Raimond, welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for coming by. So I'd like to start by having each of you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background when it comes to firearms. Valerie?
I am a 12-year veteran of a police agency. Actually, my first experience with firearms was when I went to the police academy. I had no prior training or hands-on experience with firearms prior to that. And I was able to, throughout the course of the academy training, qualify as an expert marksmanship. I was pretty impressed by that. Since then, my education and training with firearms has consisted of a couple times, at least a year, of advanced drills, in-class education with various experts. I just completed a 32-hour course with firearms expert. His name is Chris Serino, nationwide expert. He's been on Top Shot. So that was very, very good training.
And you are connected to Precision as well.
Exactly. I am one of the owners and instructors for the company.
And Raimond?
I'm also a 12-year veteran of the police department. Actually, Valerie and I went to the academy together, and that's how we kind of got to know each other. Been a firearms instructor for the past 10 years and gone through all kinds of training. Yeah, so we started this company last year, and we're ready to move forward with this.
And what got you interested in starting the company with concealed carry or just the explosion of interest in gun ownership?
Well, to be honest, we actually talked about starting this company prior to this whole concealed carry thing. We just wanted to educate people on responsible ownership of a firearm. You know, we have both been firearm owners for the past 12 years, and, you know, we just want to make sure that we educate people the proper way of owning a firearm, and then this whole concealed carry thing popped up, and we're right in the middle of it.
And have you been busy because of concealed carry?
We have been. We launched our first concealed carry class back in December, and business has been pretty good.
We've been hearing the stories about how many thousands and thousands of people, gun owners in the state, who have been applying for concealed carry permits, and that the state police have started to issue some permits for concealed carry. So since this is a whole new thing for all of us in the state of Illinois, I kind of wanted to use this opportunity to talk with you experts as a public safety campaign and just raise awareness for all of us as far as what this means, both for those who are gun enthusiasts and those who are not. So I guess it starts with the FOID card, right? The Firearm Owner's Identification Card. So before anything else, you need a FOID card from the state police, correct?
Correct. And you go about that. You can apply for that online. You go to the state police website, and they'll ask you a variety of information, your name, your date of birth, your residence, things like that. You make that application, and then you go through the normal procedures. You go through the training. Once you get your FOID card, you go through the training.
The training for concealed carry.
Correct. And after that, then you apply online for your license.
And what is training for concealed carry? What does that involve? Raimond?
It's a 16-hour training that people need to go through. It involves pretty much everything about gun ownership, from cleaning it, storing it, taking it apart, putting it back together, holsters, different types of ammunition, different types of guns. It's a whole bunch of training. Once they complete the classroom part, there's also a 30-round test that they need to pass at the range, 70% or better. Once they take the classroom part and the range part, then we give them their certificate, and they could apply online through that certificate.
Valerie?
It also includes an in-depth look at the Firearm Concealed Carry Act, and that's the law that the state of Illinois passed That includes an education on places where firearms are not allowed by license holders. That is a pretty extensive area, but any license holder must know and abide by those prohibited.
We're talking about concealed carry today. Our guests are experts in the field of gun safety and education. They are Valerie Davis and Raimond Pavely. Both of them are law enforcement themselves, and they also together have a company, Precision Firearms Education and Training. Where's Precision located?
We teach our classroom out of Morton Grove, right off of Dempster, and that's the classroom part, and then we use Maxon's shooters for our firing part of the class.
Since concealed carry has this whole training element, do you think it's going to make things safer for all of us?
The purpose behind carrying a concealed firearm is to ensure or to help ensure an individual's safety, individual and their loved ones. It really all depends on proper education and training. If a responsible gun owner is properly educated and goes through the training and continues to train and educate him or herself, then there's really no reason why safety and proper techniques shouldn't always be applied.
What do you think, Raimond?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's all comes out to being a responsible gun owner and going through the right training. I think that's the key. Really going through the right training. Make sure you do a little bit of background check on your instructor as far as who they are, what kind of training they have. I was just reading last night that a couple of the instructors had gone through the whole process of getting certified through the state police. Were found that they're not educating their students. And not only their certificate were pulled by the state police, all those students who went through their classes are no longer, their certificate is valid. So you don't want to be put in that kind of position. Do a little bit of background, a little bit of homework on who your instructors are, and it really comes down to that. We take pride in making sure all of our students who come to our classes know everything that they need to know. The state police, there's a specific curriculum that we have to follow. We make sure we follow that to the T. We want to make sure that everybody who comes to our classes knows everything that they absolutely need to know when they walk out of our class.
Have there been students that you have failed from the course, or you didn't feel comfortable giving them the okay to go ahead and conceal carry?
No, not anybody that's come through our classes. We have had some students that we had to work a little extra with, and we have no problem doing that. But just like anything else, if you apply the proper technique, shooting a gun is no different than anything else. You just have to know and apply the proper techniques, and it'll be fine.
Well, I guess if everyone is a responsible gun owner, everything should be okay. But we all know that's not going to happen. So let's talk about being proactive and what people need to be aware of, I guess, now that concealed carry is among us. What are some things we need to be mindful of ourselves? And then I want to talk about what we need to teach our kids when it comes to gun safety. So, Valerie, as members of the public, what do we need to be mindful of now that concealed carry is here?
Well, the first thing I would say is just everybody take a deep breath. It's really not much different than it was before. You never knew who was carrying a firearm illegally before. You don't know now. So just have a little calm within yourself. That's the first thing I would recommend. The second is just as a normal citizen, go about your day like you did before. But we all need to be aware of what's going on around us. It's something we teach. It's called situational awareness. And what that involves is whether you're carrying a firearm or not, or whether the person next to you is carrying a firearm or not, what you need to do is just be aware of your surroundings. Who's in your space, who's next to you, what's going on in the environment you're in. Just pay attention. Most of us are always on our phones. We have our heads down. We don't know what's going on around us. I'd say put your phone away, when you're out in public. Look around, watch who's around your child. Watch, what people are doing, where, in the stores you're going into and things like that. Just be aware. If you see a situation that looks potentially unsafe, remove yourself. That's the best way to handle it. People are really up in arms about people carrying firearms, but the best way to defend yourself really is to avoid the situation. Get out as quickly as you can. If you see trouble, get on the phone, call the police. They are the appropriate authority to handle life-threatening, dangerous situations like that.
A concern I've had is road rage situations escalating, and the next thing you know, somebody's pulling a gun. What do you think about that?
I think, unfortunately, you can't avoid it. Again, we talk about those situations in our classes. We have to let everybody know that it's got to be a self-defense situation for you to be able to pull out that firearm and use it. Essentially, if you feel that your life or the life of others are in danger, then you can pull your firearm and use it. Obviously, road rage is not one of those situations. But again, unfortunately, I think there's going to be one or two incidents that people are going to do stupid things. And we just want to make sure we avoid those situations as much as we can.
Our guests today are Valerie Davis and Raimond Pavely. They are experts in the field of gun safety and education. We're talking today about concealed carry. Do either of you have kids?
Yes, I have 3 kids.
You have 3 kids. Valerie, do you have any kids?
No.
So I'm curious to know, Raimond, what do you tell your kids about guns? I mean, obviously you have guns at home as a cop. So what do you tell your kids?
I made it no mystery with my kids. I have guns in the house. My kids know that there are guns in the house. They've seen them. They're not to touch them. I've kind of gone over some rules with them as far as what they're supposed to do if they come across a gun. And those rules are stop, don't touch, leave the area immediately, and go tell an adult as soon as you can. Those are the rules that they're to follow. I test them every once in a while on that just to make sure they still remember the things that we talked about. And again, as a gun owner, it's my responsibility to make sure that my kids are not coming across a gun. At the end of the day, it's my responsibility. So that means I'm not coming home from work and leaving my gun on the dining room table while I'm having dinner. So those are the things that we need to keep in mind. Again, gun ownership goes hand in hand with responsible gun ownership. So you need to be responsible. You need to do your due diligence to make sure that no unauthorized person, and that includes your kids, your spouse, or a burglar who's coming into your house to take some jewelry and sees a gun on the dining room table. So as far as kids, I've had the conversation with them. They know what to do, and I made no mystery that there's a gun in the house.
How old are your kids?
Soon to be 7, 5, and 19 months.
Oh, so your kids are little.
They are.
We're not talking teenagers or middle school kids. They're little.
Right.
And they know hands off and go the other way if you see a gun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When your kids go visit friends, do you find out if there are guns in their friends' homes?
That's a really good point. I don't. Specifically with me and my kids, I know where they're going. I know the people that they're spending time with, and I know those people don't have guns. But that is actually a really good point for parents to kind of ask when their kids are going to a friend's house, are those parents gun owners? And if they are, what do you do with them? Are the guns locked? And again, it all goes back to training your kids, whether they're at home or they're at a friend's house. The rules are the same. You stop, you don't touch, you leave the area, and you tell an adult immediately.
I've interviewed doctors at hospitals who have treated young gunshot patients, and they have said that they're not at all shy to ask their kids' friends, parents, if they have guns in the house. That could be a hard conversation to start, especially if you're just getting to know a family and it's a new friend, hi, how are you? And, oh, by the way, do you have guns in your house? Mm-hmm. Just seems difficult, but I think as parents, you need to man up and ask.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think that conversation would be easier to have than to be in the emergency room having a conversation with,
how did happened?
Right, exactly.
And again, like you said earlier, 1/3 of the homes in the United States have guns. So, it would not be a surprise that somebody that your kid is hanging out with, the parents might have a gun. Again, it's all about education. It's about being a responsible gun owner, and I would not be shy at all to have that conversation with my kids' parents.
So run down the points again, Raimond. What do we tell our kids to stop, first of all?
Right. So basically, you tell them to stop, don't touch, leave the area, and tell an adult immediately. And that doesn't mean you go tell the 14-year-old teenager about that. You have to find an adult, a responsible adult, and you tell them that there's a gun in the area, and then they need to take care of it. And then, obviously, if it's my kids, I would want to know about that right away.
And you've shared with your kids. Your kids know there are guns in the house. Do they know where you keep it? Do you keep it under lock and key?
They do not know where I keep the gun, but my guns are all locked, and that's the other thing I would tell parents is you got to make sure your guns are locked. Again, kids are going to be curious. If all I'm telling them is, here's a gun case, don't touch it, they're just going to want to do it even more. So, again, they know what real guns are. Again, we have toy guns that they have. We want to make sure we tell the difference between a real gun and a toy gun. But again, they know we have guns in the house. They don't know where exactly I keep them, and everything is locked.
As part of your gun safety class, do you encourage people to keep guns in a safe or a lockbox of some sort?
Yes, that's part of the education we give them. Firearms, when they're not on your person, must always be kept under lock and key. And when I say lock and key, I mean under some type of locking device. It could be a safe, a lockbox. And you have to make sure that it's not accessible to untrained or unauthorized persons. The firearm must be unloaded when you store it, and the ammunition has to be stored separately from the firearm.
We're talking about concealed carry today. Our guests are experts in the field of gun safety and education. They are Valerie Davis and Raimond Pavely. Both of them are law enforcement themselves, and they also together have a company, Precision Firearms Education and Training. So what's going to happen with concealed carry if someone does bring a gun somewhere where they are prohibited? We know that now a lot of municipalities, the city of Chicago, are enacting their own laws where you can and can't bring a gun. Schools, hospitals, public transportation, government buildings, they are outlawed. But not all those places are going to have metal detectors, and someone could get a gun past someone. What's going to happen then if there is an incident in a place where guns are not allowed?
Well, it really depends on the situation and how it develops, but if that individual is found to have a gun in an area where they are not allowed to, that is a Class B misdemeanor. So they will be arrested and charged, and probably their privileges to carry will be suspended, possibly revoked.
And how long is the concealed carry permit good for?
5 years.
5 years, okay. So they may get that revoked and maybe blacklisted, I suppose, or could be blacklisted from ever getting another one.
It's possible, if it occurs again, their FOID card privileges are also invalidated at that point.
And just to be clear, a misdemeanor is a jailable offense. You could be in jail for up to 365 days, so it's a serious offense.
The police superintendent of Chicago, Gary McCarthy, is not a fan of concealed carry. He's been very vocal about his opposition. He fears that confrontations could escalate. As we said, he's also afraid that with concealed carry, more guns will get in the wrong hands. Somebody steals a car and then checks the glove box, and bonus, there's a gun. And he's also worried about cops pulling over someone who might have a gun. As police officers, what are your thoughts about some of those things?
Those are valid concerns, obviously. And this is, for us, this is brand new. We're the last state to go through the concealed carry, and I know the first permit holders are already out there. Me personally, as a police officer, it is going to change the way I do things to some extent. But at the same time, we're trained that, there is no routine traffic stop. You do need to be on guard, really, at all times when in uniform. So is this really going to change the way we do things? A little bit. It's going to get a little bit of getting used to, but at the end of the day, I think we'll be fine.
Valerie, what do you think?
I agree with Ray, and I don't fault Superintendent McCarthy. He's got more than enough to deal with already without the concealed carry law being passed. So I do understand his concerns. It really goes back to proper education and training. I can't say that enough. Responsible gun owners. Hopefully, we won't have to worry about them, and the issue will be, yet again, about the illegal gun owner, the person with nefarious intentions. But like Ray said, it will take some getting used to. There will be incidences where, just like you said, a firearm owner stores the gun in their car and someone steals the car, and now they've got, like you said, a bonus, an unfortunate bonus. But that, again, comes back to responsibility for the firearm owner. There is a learning curve, like Ray said, but with proper training for police officers, and if the firearm owner follows the law, there is a provision in the law that states how they are to handle an encounter with police. And that is that when a police officer asks the firearm owner if they have a concealed weapon on them, they are to tell the police officer that they do have the weapon on them and where it is in the car on their person. They are also supposed to produce their concealed carry license at that point. So hopefully with all those safeguards in place, we'll be able to get past this initial learning curve without too many problems.
So is it foolish to think, or can we hope that maybe the streets will be calmer, given that John Q. Public can have a gun just as easily as some gangbanger?
That line of thought is the logical reasoning, but life doesn't always follow logic, as we all know. Hopefully that will be the outcome. Again, the firearm owner has to be properly trained, has to follow safety precautions at all times. And like I said, situational awareness, you when you aren't aware of what's going on around you, you can put yourself into dangerous, precarious situations. So if you pay attention to what's going on around you, you can try to avoid some of the calamities that befall you. So whether it will or not, time will only tell that. We tell our students all the time, this is a means of last resort. This is not your first option. Get away from, the situation. Pay attention to what's going on. Remove yourself. Remove your family. A firearm is not the end-all, be-all. It can end all, but it's not like the first option. It's a comprehensive approach that we all need to take to our individual safety and the safety of others.
If you're a gun owner or not, that's all good advice. But I think things escalate, people get anxious, they get jittery, and trigger fingers could get a little jumpy there.
And I think that kind of falls on us as instructors to make sure we discuss all those things in class, which we do in our classes. We don't want any of that to happen. Does it happen? Yes, it does. I mean, we see it all over the news in different states. But again, we make sure we discuss all those points in our classes as far as it's only for self-defense. It's only for self-defense. And we cover that numerous times during the 2-day class that we have. And again, going back to the point you were making earlier, at the end of the day, I'm going to be more comfortable with law-abiding citizens going through a 16-hour training, buying a registered gun. I'll be more comfortable with those folks walking around with a concealed carry than a quote-unquote gangbanger who doesn't have much to lose, has a unregistered gun, and hasn't gone to any kind of training. I'm okay with people going through the training and carrying concealed.
That's Raimond Pavely, and our other guest joining us this morning, Valerie Davis. We're talking about concealed carry. I've heard at least news stories that more women are applying for FOID cards in Illinois, and that more women are going to be interested in concealed carry. Have you seen that either as law enforcement officers or with your company, Precision?
Yes, women are expressing an interest in firearms in general. We get women who actually want to carry concealed, and then we get women who just want to know about firearms and have them in their house. And then there are women who don't want to carry concealed, don't want the firearm in their home, but are interested in just learning how to operate and use a firearm safely for sport, recreation, and things like that. So the interest in women we do see an increase. Personally, as a woman, I find that encouraging. Shooting, to me, it's fun. When you learn how to do it properly and you're able to do it accurately with repeatable results, it's very exciting and it's fun.
What do you think, Raimond?
I think it's great. I would say a good 40% of our students are women. Obviously, it's like Val said, it's encouraging, and the more the better. We have students with all kinds of skill levels who are coming to our classes. Some who have don't have all the skill levels, and some who do, men and women. But I think it's great that so many women have shown interest in learning about firearms. And like Val said, some are just learning to shoot for the first time, and some are coming and getting their concealed carry permit. So, by the way, we have different classes that we offer, some basic classes along the concealed carry class. So if somebody just wants to learn about the basics of a firearms, we have a class and they could come in. It's just a 1-day course, and we'll teach them everything about a firearm.
One last question for each of you. Do you feel safer now that we have concealed carry in Illinois? Valerie?
As an individual, not really. My safety is really my responsibility. And I make sure, just like we said before, I pay attention to where I am and who's around me. And really the concealed carry law is really not going to change what I do, but I will be even more aware because I know the person next to me could potentially be carrying a firearm. As far as safety, no, I feel the same right now. But I will be paying attention to what's going on in the news and different incidences, and I'll adjust my behavior and pattern according to that. As an officer, again, like Ray said, everybody we encounter, we expect or take the level of precaution that they are already armed. So that's not going to change at all.
Okay. And Raimond, how about you? Do you feel safer with concealed carry?
I think I'm with Val. I don't think it changes the way, it doesn't change the way how I feel. It doesn't change the way I do things. I mean, I carry concealed pretty much everywhere I go. I did want to add something that, carrying concealed and really being a gun owner, it is a lifestyle change. You do have to do things differently than what you're kind of used to doing. But that's okay. Just like anything else, we could kind of learn and adopt, and people need to keep that in mind. When we talk about some things in our class, you have to do A, B, and C, and they're like, oh, well, we're not sure. You want to carry a gun, these are the things you need to do. If you don't want to do them, don't carry a gun. That's pretty much what it is. As far as do I feel more safer, I think I'm the same. I carry a gun pretty much everywhere I go, and like Val said, I am going to be more aware of my surroundings, a little bit more because the next person could have a gun on them.
Well, that's great advice for all of us. And if people wanted to get more information about precision firearms education and training, how can they do that?
They can look us up on the website. Go to www.precisionfirearmseducation.com, or they can also call our phone, 855-581-9999.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming by.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's been really informative and interesting, and stay safe out there, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our guests today have been two police officers, Valerie Davis and Raimond